Welcome to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yance, and this is a repeat, but it is the full interview with Joe Barbagallo, from the founder of Barbhouse Productions. So enjoy. Okay, I have a special guest with me today. I have producer Joe Barbagallo. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Justin. How are you doing? Thank you
I'm
for
doing
having me
well.
on here. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
No, this is great. So first thing, I'm curious. I saw that you were born in California, but it looks like from my research that you grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah, no, I never grew up in California. I grew up in New Britain, Connecticut. We call it hard hit in New Britain. Yeah, it's a small little city. When I was growing up, my parents are immigrants from Italy, and there's a lot of Polish and Italian culture there, and they had factories back then. And one of them was Stanley Works, was the big one, which they made the Stanley tools,
Yeah.
and that was the biggest factory. So yeah, they just congregated there, and that's where I grew up.
Cool. So yeah, it's funny when I was looking at you, I something told me, like my intuition was like, I have a feeling he's a Connecticut guy. There's
Yeah.
something about it. It's just like I kind of just know a Connecticut guy from a New York guy from a New Jersey guy. I guess it's from being in New York. You're just kind of like, you just know.
You were right on then. Yep. It's
Yeah.
funny because people do ask me if whenever I go to another state, South, or they're like, are you from Boston? Are you from New York? They'll say that I have that accent, and then, or it's in the middle of both. But I guess because I am in the middle of Boston and New York, so I sound like I'm supposed to.
It was just like something that told me. I was like, he strikes me as Connecticut guy. Something about it, Were you always interested in film?
Yeah, I was. As a little boy, I used to like to. Maybe I shouldn't be sharing this on a podcast, in a video podcast, but I used to dress up all the time. I used to like be in costumes. I mean, the costume that I had was like an underwear on my head.
Same here.
Yeah. So I'd have like an underwear on my head, and that would be a helmet, or that would be something, a hat that was made up. But I would, or I'd mix match clothes and stuff of that nature. So I always knew I wanted to be in the film business or an actor, but where I grew up, I was in sports, and it wasn't cool to be an actor. And I was really shy. I really was shy to put myself in front of people.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. So what led you to acting then? How did it?
It's really interesting. So I first got into acting. So I'm in Connecticut, and I didn't do it till college. I took a college elective course, and this lady, it was theater or something of that nature, and she just kind of pushed me a little bit to like, hey, why don't you read in front of the class? I was so shy I couldn't even read in front of the class, like even a paper. So what I did after I graduated college, I got a job, and I told the job that I was going to school. Never told them that I was going to acting school.
Yeah.
So I would take the train. Mind you, I didn't really know anything about New York. Like I did, right? Like I loved the Yankees. I would go every once in a while, but like never by myself. So I took a train to New York, found this acting class online, paid for it. And literally the first time I went to New York, it was like, I'm going to make something up, like 78 West 35th, right?
Yeah.
I'm on 70th Street looking for, I was just looking for just different numbers. So my first acting class that I went to, I didn't go. And I just missed it. I literally went to New York for 2 hours, it took me 2 hours to get there, tried to find a place, couldn't find it, went back, emailed them. And I said, hey, sorry, I missed your first class. How do you get there? And then after that, I went to my second class, which was my first really. And they told me to get a script. never read a script in my life. So I get a script, and the script, or just the sides, and I don't know if you know obviously 12 Monkeys, the Brad Pitt
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do the Brad Pitt character, 12 Monkeys. First time acting. Didn't learn my lines because I didn't know how to learn my lines.
Yeah.
Went in there, and it's like this bedroom or it was like not a bedroom, but it was like someone's house that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you probably know that people have like these acting studios in their homes.
Yeah.
And got there late, sweaty mess. Finally found the place, and it was my time to go up. And I didn't meet anybody, and everybody was sitting on the couch watching me. And they were like, you know, I think at the time I felt they were skilled actors. It's like, you're up next. And I got on
That was your punishment for being late.
Yeah, exactly. I get there, and I'm like, I see myself on the screen, like, and so the director or the teacher and all the people, and I'm like looking at everybody, and I go, I'm not ready to do this. And they're like, just read the lines. I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I don't think I'm ready. By the way, he said, just read the lines, go ahead. I did so poorly. I saw myself. I thought I was like a really good looking guy before that part. Saw myself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the ugliest person in the world. I look terrible. I thought I was a movie star looks. No, not that. Looking at people really feeling bad for me, how bad I was bombing. And, you know, I got on the train. Mind you, I bought 4 acting classes, got on the train, said, I'm never doing this again. Missed that 3rd class. I'm like, I'm not coming. I'm not going. And long story short, it's really crazy how it happened. I had a friend of a friend that was an acting teacher for kids. Nobody I knew did acting. Mind you, I wasn't telling anybody I was acting. I didn't tell anybody. I was just going by myself that twice and only going once. He did an acting exercise with me. And we kept running the lines, and he's like, no. And he's a really nice guy. And I got him coffee, you know, I bought him coffee. We were on a stage. It was really cool. We went to his stage, Hartford stage, actually. And we were on the stage, and he goes, Joe, this is a cup of coffee. I want your cup of coffee. This is yours. You want this coffee from me. And I said to him, okay. He's like, get it from me. And he made me, hey, can I have the coffee? Come on, give me the coffee. Come on, I want the coffee. And we went for so long, and I had respect for this guy. He was like 2 years older than me at the time. And all of a sudden, I just lost it. And I thought he was just messing with me. I'm like, give me the effing coffee. And what the hell? Like, this is BS and all that stuff. And he goes, you see right there? Now let's read the lines. And I swear to you, that changed my perception of acting. I went in the next week and killed it. And ever since then, I thought that, like, okay, I got this. But I almost quit. I almost quit millions of times, but I almost quit twice before I even started.
Wow. Do you think that the parking spot, not finding a parking spot, that was kind of you just like wanting to quit, like a manifestation of the quitting type thing?
Yeah, you know, I see that I do that sometimes to myself, right? Like, you don't want to do something and you just put like obstacles in front of you. I think for me I thought I knew New York, but I just didn't know New York. Like, back then there was no Google Maps. There wasn't Google Maps back then. Or
where was it, like in reality?
You want to know where? Okay.
Yeah, I know where it is.
So not even close. I was on like the Upper West Side, and it was actually on Lexington and I think
Amsterdam.
Lexington and 26th, 25th.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like around there, and I was so far from that. I mean, I took.
Now, you didn't drive or anything. You just took a train.
I took a train from New Haven train station and just went to Grand Central and got out. I'm like, what do I do here? And I just I just got in the cab and like messed up, and he was just driving around. So yeah,
That's funny. But you found it. That's such a cool story though. Yeah, he was teaching you like, the object. He was teaching you objective with
Yep.
the coffee. So
Yeah.
get me the coffee, and you just kept getting you till you were like really, really pissed off at them.
And I understood after that, like I really did a great job, or at
Yeah,
least I felt good, right? At least that's
yeah,
mine. And the teacher's like, wow. And then I went back for another, two times extra classes, so eight
was this
classes.
Terry Schreiber?
No, this was Terry Schreiber was a little later on, and
Okay.
but Terry Schreiber was that was one of the best experiences of my life.
Do you want to talk? about
Sure.
Terry Schreiber now? Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk
yeah.
about that.
So and we could go back to me start a production company in Connecticut, because that's right after that I started a production company in Connecticut. But Terry Schreiber
Yeah,
was like maybe like I would say 5 years later, maybe a little bit more. I was in New York at the time, and now I'm a New Yorker, and at least for five years. And yeah, I went into, I just researched. Actually, no, I was taking monologue classes, and I asked the guy if I wanted to take acting classes in New York, and like a really, I wanted a famous acting teacher. And he named
yeah,
three people, and he says, I don't know if these people still teach, but I would go if I was you to Terry Schreiber. He's such a nice guy. He's great. He's one of the best teachers I've ever had. So I went there, and I didn't think I was going to, because you have to audition to get into the school.
yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to get, I don't know. I thought that maybe I'll get into the school, but I didn't think I was going to get to Terry Schreiber. So I went for Terry Schreiber's class and, auditioned, and I got in. I don't know how I got in, because I didn't think I was that good at the time. And then after that class, I knew I wasn't that good at the time, because that class really changed acting for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous experience for me. Uh, I would highly recommend it again. It's a very close knit class where there's about 12 of you, and it's it's like a theater, and every week everybody's on a separate program, and it's because it's for working actors, so you could, one week you might miss it or whatever have you, but
Yeah.
it's the curriculum is, you start in one place, and like you'll get people like coming in and out of there, so like everybody's on a curriculum, and you could know everybody's curriculum as you, like, oh, he's doing this, or he's doing that, or she's doing this, and and I'm not naming them because I'm not sure if it's proprietary to them, because they don't like talk about it too much, because
Mm.
you have to like sign a waiver about, like, everything's really private. It's very real. It's very real, and there's so many different dynamics that he teaches in that class, and yeah, I've had some
It,
breakthroughs.
is it a class, or is it like kind of a school?
It's a school. I call it class. It was like, I think it was, I have to remember if it was like 2 days a week or it was 1 day a week, but it was like 8 hours. It was eight
Huh.
hours. Yeah, it was really long, or 5 or 6. It was a long class. It was like an all-day affair.
So you're doing the grind of school. It was like I went to the neighborhood playhouse, and
No,
it's like,
nice.
it was like that 9 to 5 thing, but usually it didn't go up,
Yep.
every day, because it was, every single day. But yeah, doing 8 hours, you're getting it all.
Get it all in.
You're
Yeah.
getting it all in. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And there's some really, and everybody learns differently, and everybody's got some different sensories and techniques that work for them. But Terry always was a master of many different techniques, whatever worked for you. But a lot of them were
That's great.
sensory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What is one of the, what would you say? I know you can't divulge too much, but
Sure.
what's one thing that was really important that you learned, that you carried with you from Terry Schreiber throughout acting, producing, everything?
So there's a lot of it was, for me, was the sensory recall. And you know what, that was one of them. But another one was, it was building your character off of some type of animal. That was really interesting to me and I sometimes see people doing that, like Heath Ledger in the Joker, right? Like he's always like looking,
Yeah.
he's like kind of like the lizard, right?
Yeah.
And that was really powerful for me because, when you see somebody on the screen, they have a presence. And with that presence, you could tell a lot about what type of person, where they come from. There's a lot of things you could deduct from that. And, our brains are doing that before even a word is spoken. So that was one of the things that I really, body positioning and body, even in everyday life, like, the Superman pose, right? To make yourself feel better and stuff of that nature. So it's yeah, exactly. Or put it on your hips so I that's something I really took.
This.
Yeah.
You put your hand back,
Yeah. But there was one exercise that I remember in that class, man. It was like, I think it was called a private moment, and you go,
I remember that. I did that. I did that at Strasbourg. Yeah, where you're in front of everybody and you gotta like pretend like nobody's there.
Exactly.
And you bring in stuff and I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a fun thing.
It's such a fun thing. But then Terry starts manipulating you, like, to do certain things in the range of emotions. And I'm telling you that, like, I was like, after that session or that class, I think we all went out afterwards, because we do that every once in a while. And like, I was still like, my world was turned upside down. I don't know why or how, but like, some things clicked in. I don't know if it was good therapeutic or not. It was like better than any ayahuasca experience or whatever you call those things. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you think it slowed you down some?
Absolutely.
Do you think
it makes you slow down, but also makes you, why do you do these things? Why do I do this? Or you look at your routines and like, why do I have these routines? So I'm very conscious of
habits.
Yep.
The habits that you have, which, people think of habits as a bad thing, but it's not. It's everything about you is almost comprised of habits in some way, shape, or form. You get up, how you do it, even if you just sat and watched TV, that still became a habit.
Right.
We are ruled by our habit. This great book, Atomic Habits, is one of the best books where it really, looks at the importance of how we can change the habits to suit what we need to do, as opposed to being, kind of a slave to our habits.
I would love to. I have to listen to this podcast one more time.
I will send it. I will send it to you. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
I will send it to you.
There's two books that I really like about habits. One is it's called it's
Compound Effect.
Yeah, Compound Effect.
That's a great book. Short book, but really good stuff.
Yeah, I think he was the owner of Success Magazine, I believe, or something like that. Or
was he?
I don't know. I think he had something to do with that. And then Atomic Habits is a really good one recently that came out.
Yeah,
Atomic Habits.
Yeah, that's the one I mentioned. Yeah.
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. That's the one I'm talking about. What did I say? What did I say?
Something else. You said something else.
Did I say something else? No.
You said something habits.
I meant Atomic.
Okay.
If I did,
perfect.
Atomic Habits.
I love that book too. So we're
James Clear.
James Clear. Yep.
Such a great book.
Yep.
A Compound Effect. I mean, it talks about how, if you start meditating now, you don't know what that's going to manifest into later, because you're starting a process of changing things.
Yeah.
One of the things I've started doing is hypnosis, and trying to learn how to hypnotize myself, which is fascinating stuff, but it takes a lot of patience, just sitting in a chair.
Yeah. Is it working?
I'll tell you, it is to a degree.
Yeah. I'm sure it's degrees.
I just started, but I can, what I want to be able to do is really give myself a trigger so that I could just tap into that and not have to do anything, which is what a lot of us actors are already trying to do, sensory. That's what we're kind of doing, is building a trigger.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure out ways faster to it. It was Paul McKenna who started a lot of the hypnosis thing.
Yeah.
You can buy his books. His books come with the meditation in there. You just like listen to it, and he's got you counting backwards, and before you know it, you're just like in this deep place that like you never thought you would ever be. I'm all about that stuff. Like
I saw
like
that
Joe
meditation.
Dispenza.
Oh, Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Which is really hard. So I'm like, how can I zero in so I don't continue to wander off? And sometimes with meditation, you find yourself like wandering around. They say, well, just bring it back. And it's like, well, is there a way for me to just make it so that I don't wander anymore? And so I don't like sit there and be like, what time is it?
Yeah. Well, I see that you're really big in meditation. I've been meditating for 14, 15 years now.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how nobody does. I mean, like
same here. I preach it to everyone. I'm like, look, you want to change things? Just start with this. Just 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
They won't even give you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They're just like, 5 minutes. I'm like, I do it for an hour. Come on. I'm just asking for 5 minutes of your time.
Do you do it for an hour?
I try to. With the Joe Dispenza, it makes you do it for an hour. You're sitting there like waiting there for like 45 minutes. It's like, oh God, and it's like that. And then I found the hypnosis and I was like, okay, this can actually probably enhance this stuff. As I'm always trying to get to that, I don't know if you're familiar with the levels, there's theta level, there's alpha level, and then there's the gamma level, which is what a lot of, people like Gandhi were. This level that just, you're seeing the world. You mentioned the Matrix in one of your interviews, and it's like the Matrix is one of those movies that kind of like popped through, but a lot of it is real to what is actually. A lot of people are living in a matrix, a simulation that they've created of themselves, and in order to break that, you have to start seeing things differently. And that's why I'm very careful with like who I listen to and what I do. So it's just like, you got to always ask yourself, is this coming from me or is this coming from an outside source? Am I being led here, manipulated? I mean, commercials, everything they're using in some ways indirect hypnosis without people even realizing it. Just the way, everything is. But I'm all into that. Let's finish.
No, before I have to, like, we have to talk about this offline.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. We will.
I started, which is kind of the same, same realm. I have got a book on channeling.
Oh,
yeah.
What's the book?
I don't remember the name. It's one of the best books of channeling from what people have told me. I did that. I read that maybe 6 months ago. And it's really so interesting. Can't say I'm probably like, a beginner. Like I did
intermediate, I guess you'd say.
Intermediate. I experienced like out of the few times that I did it, I like a fraction of something, and don't know what it was. It could have been anything, but it's on the same realm, or maybe not the same realm, but kind of the same realm physically.
But it's like it's getting to that thing, because with everything around us, technology and everything, we haven't really caught up to that world of how fast technology has moved, and it's left this kind of lull where like now we're just, I mean, you see, it's so easy to just go on Instagram and just
scroll
and think you're doing something.
Yeah.
You feel like, it's like, and you've got to, step away from that and be like, no, I'm just going like this down the thing. I mean, if you're messaging people, I guess that's the way to do it. But it's very easy to just be like, it's almost like the way a gambler is, like when it's just like, oh, what's the next thing gonna do? And
Right.
you're like, I got to see the next thing, and it's like, no, you don't.
Well,
You don't need to see the next
they
thing.
have, I mean, all these companies have people that are behavioral psychologists that know human behavior, and they want to
Yeah.
go right into the monkey mind. Click, click. How long can I get you to
It's
keep clicking?
designed, yeah, it's
Yeah,
designed for
designed
us
for
to
that.
be attacked,
Exactly.
and it's like this Instagram has a lot of, like screenshots of films, and I'll look at that and be like, ooh,
Yep.
top noir film shots.
Yep.
And then you're just
Exactly.
being sitting there like 20 minutes. It's like, or books, like 25 best books on
Yep.
meditation or something. I'll just pick,
Now,
oh, what is this? It's usually the same books, but
yep.
sometimes I'll be like surprised. It's like, it's just like,
Well, the cool thing is, right? Yes, we're still monkeys and stuff, but the
yeah,
one thing about it is if we could cultivate as much as we can, what we see, even with
yeah,
Instagram, right? So you're like, what you're telling me is like the books and the films,
yeah.
right? Like that's great and cool because there's certain things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about this, or wow, I want to deep dive
Yeah.
into.
It's great. It's great stuff that you're learning, but it's like, but it's also designed to keep you on there so that you're not really in control. You're just like that would be an interesting experiment. Have somebody sit there and be like, okay, you can go on Instagram and you can spend as much time as you want.
Right.
Let's see how long like the average that person would do. It'd be like probably like 8 hours.
Yeah, I can
Oh
imagine.
yeah, I gotta eat. you know, and it's scary. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's why I think meditation is the most important thing, because
absolutely.
it stops you so that you can, to quote Ferris Bueller, look around every once in a while. Because it's like you could just keep going forward, even in life.
Yeah.
I was listening to Katie Lotz, who plays Sarah Lance on the Michael Rosenbaum. She was telling me, she said, like, you got to take control of your life, because otherwise you're just going to go in one direction. And it's like, is that the direction you want to go?
Yeah.
And it's very, you could see that in acting and just be like, oh, just keep doing this. I'm making money at it, but it's like, but is this fulfilling you creatively?
That's what I think I think everything in life is like that
Yeah,
as well. Is they do that analogy of the plane, right? Like a
yeah,
plane, is going from here from New York to California, right? And it's not a straight line. And all the time, right? Because of the wind and everything, it's always has to recalibrate, right? If it didn't recalibrate, it wouldn't go to California because so many factors are outside of its control. You have to always recalibrate. And I
yeah,
think you should do that with your life and even this tough
yeah,
business of acting. I mean, in acting is just like, who's going to give me my next part next? And I'll just do
yeah,
it. Anybody says yes, I'm doing it. It's
yeah.
hard after a while to be like,
Although you got to be careful with that. I made the mistake of of agreeing to something that I like read. I was like, oh my God, what is this? and I couldn't get out of it. I even told him, I said, listen, I'm gonna have to change every single one of your lines. And I was like, oh, that's gonna be a deal breaker. There's no way. I was like, oh no, that's okay. And I was just, oh
I'm
man,
stuck.
I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like if I tell him that, it's like, okay, there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, it's true. You gotta like recalibrate.
Yep.
And I love the analogy of the plane. You're like, if it just went straight, it would never get there. So
Yeah.
it just, it
Yeah.
has to recalibrate. And
Yep.
that's a great way to look at life. I've never actually heard that
Yeah.
before.
You have
That's
to, yeah.
actually new.
Yeah. You have to recalibrate. I mean, you could put it on autopilot, but it's always has to recalibrate all the time because of the winds, or if the wind's coming
Yeah.
this way, and you don't go in a straight line, you go around or underneath.
Yeah.
And every time it's always recalibrating to be like, all right, 10,000 feet,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know how the feet for in an airplane, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, and in life you have to recalibrate. I mean, I personally I like to think I recalibrate, on Sundays, but
Yeah.
I every 3 to 6 months, I really like to spend a whole day and just like looking where I'm at. and
Yeah.
seeing what makes me happy. There's certain behaviors that actually make me unhappy, or
Yeah.
certain things that I think that I like and actually I really don't like.
Yeah, you
like
could be like, you could be stuck on the news or something. That's something a lot of people do. And it's like, you don't have to listen to it.
don't.
You could
Yeah.
just turn it off.
Yeah.
It's not going away. And you'll find out about it sooner than later, even if
Yeah.
you don't.
I don't do
But
news.
I
do
try not to do it either. I try to look at like some of the headlines and then
Yes.
kind of just take it out
Get out.
and think about it and be like, okay, is this person leading me to this conclusion, or am I actually coming to this conclusion?
Absolutely.
Which I think is not what a lot of people are doing. They're looking at news. They're just like kind of like, it's like, yeah, you're right. He's right. Let's go.
Yep.
It's like, let's fight. It's like, it's always combaticatory.
It's us. It's
coming
us.
out there.
Us against
Us
them.
against-
I don't
there
even know
you
who's
go.
them, but it's us.
Yeah.
I have to protect us. I have to go after
Yeah.
them.
It's
who's them?
it's tapping into that thing, us against them type of thing, which is just built into human beings.
It's tribal. I mean, we are tribal,
Yeah.
and it does. It could be, the tribalness could be from anywhere from my state, my college, my where I am from.
Your sports team.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, look at the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
there are
hate
people
them.
there are people that actually like get physical about that. It's
Exactly.
like, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a game.
And yeah, do you think that these people that are making multi-millions really care about like you fighting
they
for
don't.
them? Yeah, like they're doing their things, and it's gonna take like it gets bigger than that wider net as us, right? Like if we ever find out about aliens and something of that nature outside, then it's us, right? Us is all Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, now my tribe is much bigger. It's all
Yeah, well,
us.
I mean, what are we going to do about, AI that's like right at the doorstep? I
Us,
mean, like
humankind,
we can barely handle human beings. I mean, I could see it now. It's like, do you employ robots or do you not employ robots? That'll be like that'll be the new political thing.
Exactly.
Like, do you employ robots or do you not employ robots?
Yep. I could see that happening as well. Yeah.
It's just this consistent argument. And it's like, you got to step back and be like, see the forest through the trees and be like, what is the pattern that is going here, as opposed to just, reacting. That's what I wanted to say. Fight or flight. A lot of people are still in that mode of fight or flight, which is what meditation will get you out of, is that idea of like, I gotta do this. It's like, no, step back. Let things happen.
Right.
Don't you're going to continue to work toward them, but enjoy what's happening. Don't just, be like, oh God, when I get, it's like so many people will chase the sunset. It's like, oh, I'll be happy when I get there. It's like, no, if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy with more. You got to be happy now.
Yeah.
And then you'll be happy with that. Otherwise, it's just going to be, you're just chasing stuff. You'll get there and be like, I need this too. It's like,
exactly.
$1 billion's not enough. I need 2 billion, like 3 billion, it's like, it's a never ending circle. And you got to be able to stop and say enough is enough, or what is it that I want?
It kind of goes along, and I'm going to probably butcher this parable, but there's this guy, very wealthy businessman, goes to a tropical island, and he sees some guy just fishing, and he's fishing, and he's getting a couple fish and bringing it home to his family. And, he would just do that. He gets just enough for his family, and he seems happy, and he plays the guitar, and he's just, he's loving life. The businessman comes up to him and is like, hey man, like this is, I love what you got here. You got a great life right here, but why don't you hire this person, catch like 20 fish? I could help you, or even more. And then we could buy another boat for you. And then after that, we could buy another boat. And then like 10, 15 years from now, you retire. And the guy goes, to do what? He goes, I don't know. You can do anything you want. He goes, I am. I am right now.
There you go. He missed the whole point of the fact that this is what he wants to do.
Yeah.
He's not doing this to attain to build to something else. He's not building a business. He's just like, this is what I want to do.
Right. So who's the rich person really in that?
Exactly.
You know, this guy was killing himself in his city and working, and he's like, in 30 years from now, I'm going to retire and do what this guy is doing already. He's like, the guy's doing it. You could do it right now.
Yeah, it's a scary thing you see on Instagram. They're just like, okay, you can retire at this time, and you ask the important questions, like, to do what?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, is that what you want?
Yeah.
Or is that what you think you want? It's like the person who buys a Ferrari, and it's like, do you actually want a Ferrari? You're just buying it because somebody else told you to buy a Ferrari. It's like, it's two different things.
It's a
the car doesn't
symbol,
matter.
Yeah. And that's fleeting, right? That's, you know, that joy of getting something like that is really fleeting. And I believe that we're going back to that, where, you know, retirement is something that's kind of made up to have people stay in line, right? Something to look forward to later on in life. You know?
Absolutely. It's a carrot. It's that golden carrot at the end of it. Oh, can I work hard, and then you can stop. And it's just like
my 401
to do what?
Yeah. My 401, like, yeah. And you know, if you know, at 68, you can retire, and then you get your Social Security, and then you have all your benefits and all that stuff. And, you know, so yeah.
It's like, do you want everything so planned out that like there's nothing that, you know, that's another thing. If you plan out so much of everything, it makes it almost impossible for new things to come in, because you've blocked out everything.
Absolutely.
Like, well, this is the plan. I'm going to go here. And it's like, you know, well, if this happened, maybe you get there faster, or maybe this will help. This will make it'll be easier. You know, being open is, I think, the most important thing that we can be, is if we can just be open to different sides and different ideas, instead of always taking this hard-edged opinion. Yep. You know, even the thing with the Star Wars, I mean, it's hard for us, you know, to sit there and, you know, see what they're doing. But if you can look back at it and be like, maybe I don't see all the pieces.
Right.
Although it's very hard for me to see.
Yeah, me too.
So getting back to you now, I saw the G.I. Joe short film, Operation Red Retrieval by Mark Chang. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, man, it's funny. You're talking about being open, right? Like Mark Chang, so after Terry Schreiber, no, it was actually, sorry, after the acting classes, I came back to Connecticut, and there's not much acting there. But I started auditioning, and I would come to New York City and audition. And I booked, like, in the beginning, I'm like, man, this is going to be like, I'm going to be a superstar. I booked like the first 3 auditions out of 4 my first time. Like, and after that, it was just like, never like that ever again. Yeah. And one of them was for Mark Chang, and it was a sci-fi action film. And it was a short sci-fi action film. And man, this guy, he built a spaceship in his basement of his condo. And I'm like, and he's got his wife like holding auditions with him. And I was just like, man, this is awesome. And then we made the film. It was one of the most fun, cool films I've ever did in my life. It was like a week of shooting, and it was in New Brunswick, New Jersey, or around there. And it was just like, I had such a blast. And then, you know, it's funny because this happens to me a lot in acting. I always get like a pretty small part, and then that part grows exponentially. You know, it's like, okay, it's like this, you know, it was supposed to be this dumb guy that's like, just kind of like blast people and whatever have you. And then it became a little bit more than that, like the Joker that has some kind of feelings as well at the end. And one day, Mark, he's like, hey man, do you want to do another film with me? And I'm like, sure. He's like, it's a G.I. Joe film. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm doing a G.I. I'm like, yeah, like which character am I playing? And I wanted to play the Flint or what, someone like that. But
Snake Eyes,
right? But I don't move that well. So I played Beachhead, and he was the one
Yeah.
that I knew the least about, actually, that I could
Yeah.
remember. I remember him, but like, and I was like, I'm like, for Mark, I'm like, yeah, I'll do whatever, man, whatever you want me to
Yeah.
do. And during that time, I kind of, in the middle of it, kind of was like, man, I would love to do this. You know, I would love to have a production company with Mark, man, because he's like I just like working with him. I love what he's
Yeah.
doing. I love action. I love sci-fi. It's my favorite. And we made G.I. Joe, that fan film, and it went viral.
Yeah.
And, you know, it went under 1 million views, but like back then there was like no, you don't buy your views, or there's just
Yeah.
like, it just was organically. We're just like, what? We have 300 something thousand in a week. And we're just like, how,
Yeah.
you know? And that caught the attention of the creator of G.I. Joe, well, at least the mythology, Larry Hama, the comic book writer. And
Really?
yeah, and he reached out. I don't remember if he reached out to Mark or Mark reached out to him. And during that time, also one of the G.I. Joe, the first G.I. Joe film or second G.I.
Yeah.
Joe film that they made, the director reached out to us on Twitter saying, "Great job, guys," and we're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
And that was the initiation of my production company with Mark to make Ghost Source Zero, and we worked with Larry Hama on that one as well.
Well, but that's what I was gonna ask you. Is that how you got it? That's how you got into producing?
I got into producing a little bit earlier because my first film was in Connecticut, and it was like weird because there was nothing in Connecticut, and it was like a town over, which was crazy. And I got the lead role of this short film that, man, it's like one of my favorite films too. It's called The Briefcase, and I'm this guy that it's a really cool story. He read it. The director, producer, writer read a story about some guy that because he was some bookies made him rob a bank, and he pretty much changed his whole outfit, and he just flipped the whole story around. He's like this kind of loser gambling young kid, but he just literally flipped the switch. He went from like a broke loser to getting that money, making it right, and for some reason running into more money and starting his life out to be an actor in LA, going to LA. So because of that, I saw before me and Mark had a production company. I had a production company in Connecticut because during that short film, like I was a lead character, but like when I wasn't acting, I would be holding the boom mic, or I would be like, in like, I've never done, I'm like, where do I point this? And you know, I would just be helping out, and I'd PA, or I would do whatever it took. So I was like, okay, I know how to do, I would love to produce. And, you know, since I've been in Connecticut, there's nothing going on here. So like, let me make more stuff. And then, you know, flash forward like 5 to 6 years later, after the success of G.I. Joe the fan film, and we started, you know, Ghost Source Zero, we started a production company called Planet Nerd Rage. And
yeah.
And it was Mark and I. And man, we started you know, my first producing gig, it was the first feature film was that one. And like, you know, I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like I was trying to raise money, and like, yeah, this is $20 million. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to raise $20 million, or this is $1 million. And, you know, it was so funny. Like, but we just did it. And then we put it on Kickstarter and raised 90 something thousand altogether, 130 or 50,000 to make this feature film that, that is one of my proudest moments, you know, lead character, but producing this film that, you know, that, you know, that still gets shown in international territories.
Yeah. You can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Ghost Source Zero. I mean, as I said, it reminded me, the beginning reminded me a little bit of Akira.
Yeah.
And then as it went going, it started, you know, reminding me a little bit of Ghost in the Shell. So
Yep.
it's like, was that where some of those inspirations for it?
Absolutely.
Right.
And I give Mark, I give absolutely Mark credit for all that. I think he, I mean, he wrote that because he watched those
Yeah.
films, but also I think the comic books too. There was
Yeah. The
comic books that,
manga. Yeah.
yeah. And and I was like, man, this stuff is incredible. The lines that were in there, like, I'm like, it was just, yeah, it was just really impressive.
I like the tone you set with it also, that green, like,
Shimmer,
dystopian feel.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was all Mark as well. Mark is a genius at the tonal um, aspects of it, and with sci-fi action, man, he was doing stuff 10, 15 years ago like that was so hard to do because After Effects was so limited and everything and all that stuff. Like, you really had to do it. Now it's a lot easier. The software is a lot easier to use.
Yeah.
So you have so many people doing that, but he was doing that all on his own and self-taught.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, look at deep fakes now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's now almost anybody can do that now. It's kind
Right.
of scary.
Yeah.
It's like, next thing you know, it's like, I didn't say that.
Exactly.
It'd be the penguin in Batman Returns. I know
Yeah.
that's not me. It sounds like you. We
Yeah.
have your voice. It's a scary time we're living in. So that's kind of how you got into producing. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. Describe to people what a producer is. This is
Yeah.
something that I think it's misunderstood.
Yeah.
What would you?
How would I describe it?
Yeah. How would you describe what would you say? What is a producer?
So I think a producer, to make it like a real clear analogy for maybe business people or whatever have you, um, you're a solo entrepreneur at first. You're an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, and every film is a new business, and where you have to hire certain people with certain skill sets to make that happen. You have to raise capital. You have to do everything a part of that film. Um, from the money to the creative to the logistics to all that. And I think that, you are the owner of this thing from the inception
Hmm.
till forever. Because I'm still dealing with stuff for Ghost or Zero, 10 years ago
Yeah.
or something of that nature, all the films. So producers really, it's a great terminology. It produces, it makes things happen.
Yeah.
And, I have a new business partner now that just came from the financial sector. And he's like, well, how do you know which film's going, or how do you know where to focus your attention on, or whatever have you? And I'm like, well, it's kind of gut feel, because it's all about momentum. And then it's like, filmmaking is a collaborative art. It's like, it's not too many art forms that are collaborative. And
Yeah.
you have something, and it, people just touch it, and whoever you put in there to make it to touch it, it changes that color or that texture or whatever have you as it goes down the line, from the writer to the actors to the director to the the set designers and everything, and then the editors on top of it. So you have to kind of, you're producing that, you're entrepreneur of all that, making sure it goes all down the assembly line. And in a way, you're running that orchestra. You're the maestro of an orchestra. And you have to just know where to put those pieces together, and what pieces to touch, what pieces to leave alone.
Hmm.
And going back to what I told it's like a gut feel. It's just like, we have 5 films that we're doing, and this one seems like it's the most ready. And, at times I couldn't tell you, he still wants to make a system out of it. Okay, but if we're going to make this one ready, and I'm like, and there might be a system, I just don't know it yet. I just know it's all about momentum, and I know it's about the right partners to get together.
Yeah.
And you can't do it alone.
So you like to work as a team.
I like to work as a team. I like to work. So when I get a project that I really like, I champion it. And then I try to find how to get that momentum moving, right? Because a lot of this stuff is, all right, you find the project. All right, well, how are we going to pitch this project? Who are the partners of the project? All right, maybe there's no partners. How do I get the actors? How do I get a director? How do I get people interested? How do you get people interested if there's no money yet? There's so many different aspects to it. And you have to have a lot of faith in yourself. You really do. And I guess what you were saying earlier, like you have to be open for opportunities that'll come from, you don't know where they're coming from, but you have to push it forward somehow.
I just lost my train of thought.
It sounded like it was going to be really good though.
Yeah, it was. I know. Like, this is why I write everything down.
Yeah.
Do you like to be in the room pitching?
Yes.
Do you like to do, is that one of the highlights for you?
The highlights, I wouldn't say that's a highlight for me. I think the highlight for me is when we find that right script, and then like working with the people I really love and enjoy working with, like creatives, and we all like, I really enjoy massaging it, right? Like, okay, I would do this, I would do that. Do
you like to be in the writing process as well?
Absolutely, I do. But I don't do it where like it's going to, I like to orchestrate a bunch of people working toward a creative process without hurting someone's ego or just kind of.
So you don't like to micromanage it. You kind of delegate it and be like, let me
come back. And what do you need from me? Yeah.
You're not the producer coming on to set while the actors are, being directed by the director, and you pull them aside and think, don't do it like that. Do it
Absolutely not. No, I'm not.
I was reading about that, how was it Neil Marshall was talking about, he's doing Hellboy. Like there were these producers coming over and talking to the actors and giving them direction on how to play the scene when he just gave them direction. It was like,
no, I'm the opposite. I know I'm the absolute opposite. I come in when I come in to help. Because after a while, like if the writers are writing and they're flowing and there's two of them, right? And it's hard to you got to sync them. You have to. It's like this for me every time when I work with composers too, right? Like at the end of the editing, right? I'm just like working with composers. We're like, okay, what do you want here? All right, we want it like this. We're like, and then we're just kind of sitting there like, all right, let's have another meeting. And we're like, come back to the next meeting. We're like, all right, what are we doing here? And we're for like 3 or 4 times, we don't know what we're doing. We're trying to get in sync. And then after that 4th or 5th, maybe 4th time, then we're all in sync. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this. We're coming together. Like, I can't play the instruments for you. I can't do any of that for you, but I'm trying to get you.
It's hard to like, that's like the hardest thing directing or producing is like, how do I take what's in my head and map it out for you?
Yeah.
It's like, I can't, you can't draw it. You can't, it's like,
and I want you to make it your own too. I want it to make,
exactly.
I want your input in what you put into it. Cause I know, if I'm working with the same writers, which I work with one same writer all the time.
Although I read somewhere that, in Japan, they've developed the ability to now take your dreams and interpret what is going on in your dreams and actually see it, which is
no way.
Which is kind of like, that's kind of scary. That's kind of like, oh wow, now they actually can get into our head.
That is crazy. I have to look into that too. I'm so interested in that.
But sometimes you wish you could do that, because it's just like, okay, I can hear the music, but it's like, how do I interpret it it needs to be this. And, it's like your hands are coming up and you're just like, you don't know how to say it. It's just like, how do you interpret something that you've seen or that has not ever been seen before to somebody and be like, oh, I get that. And I think that's one of the tricks with producing. What would you say is a misconception about producing that a lot of people have?
That it's glamorous. That it's like really, that's like glamorous. It's like you have to get and I'm talking about in the indie world, right?
Yeah.
you have to get your hands dirty. Like, I mean,
You're talking about like Dwayne Johnson putting his producing credit on
yeah,
the dog movie.
yeah, exactly. It's not like that. I mean, at least, and there's, and as you look at, when you're a producer, you could really, when you look at a film screen and at the end titles, you're like, all right, these people are the ones that were on set doing stuff. And these are people that either put money or they were just like someone's, husband or wife or whatever have you, and stuff of that
Although
nature.
to be fair, Spielberg, produced Back to the Future. That's why a lot of people think that, Back to the Future is Spielberg's movie, but it's
He
it's
produced
more
it.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
But he was very key in that film. Like you could tell he was like on set and everything. You know?
Absolutely.
They made the decision to take out what's his name and bring in Michael J. Fox because what's his name wasn't working. I forget his name. Eric Stoltz, who originally, he shot like 4 weeks of shooting and they fired him, and it made the whole cast scared because they're like, are we going to get fired now too? Is everything? Although if you see it, it's kind of a different film, what he's doing, because he's more being realistic. Whereas they're going for that kind of, not sitcom, but like comedy. That there's a balance that Back to the Future does, where it's like the comedy and the drama, and it's all. Zemeckis is really good at that. If you look at Romancing the Stone or Forrest Gump, he's very good at keeping it flowing. Especially those early movies. So I could see why he got rid of them. It's sad for Stoltz, but one last thing about the thing. So describe to me. So how would you say producing work? Does it start with a script first? What is the beginning phases? An idea? It
could be both. It could be
both.
It could be an idea, and usually that's like, I'm passionate about that. How can I get the writer to write this, or myself? And usually, because I'm, I know my limitations with habits and rituals. So I'll always, if I want to write something, I have to write it with somebody, because I know I won't let that person down. So
it's similar to I interviewed, he's a playwright, and he said the same thing. He's like, give me a deadline. Something to shoot for, and like you said, the person, something to keep you in check. It's just like, just go off and do it. Finish, come back when it's done.
And it's
like
not gonna
3
happen.
years later. 3 years like, I think it's done. What is this? Is this the first draft?
we need deadlines.
Exactly. What when you were first starting out producing, how did it usually start with? Did it start with the script already, or
it started with the script? It usually was, the first time. It was either a first-time director that I knew and had a script that I really liked, and I was interested in the script and in the first-time director, working with that person. Like for a while, like I produced stuff with just first-time directors. Like a lot of my films were that, and now it's changing.
I see that.
Because it's getting bigger, the production being bigger. So it's usually an idea, but mostly it's a script and it's a person. I really, I have worked with great people, and I've worked with some really terrible people that I will never work with again. And I'm getting better at that, because
well, like you said, it's a gut feeling. You don't know what they're gonna be like. I mean, are they gonna show up? Are they gonna be like, are they gonna be Marlon Brando in a box and saying, I'm just not feeling it today, Francis. Let's shoot another day.
Definitely.
What do you mean? We got everybody here. We're not shooting another day. Get in there.
That's gonna be the hardest. That's gonna be hardest for director. Like, you have some big star that's like, actually could be is actually amazing too. And everybody wants to see them, and then they just get to run whatever they get to run the set. They get to do whatever
like Blade Trinity, where Wesley Snipes wouldn't come out of the trailer, and he communicated with David S. Goyer through Post-it notes.
And
he would sign them. He would sign them Blade.
I think is ridiculous, but
I always love that story. It's like, it's like, wow, that must have been just horrible for the actors and everything. It's like, so who's running the show here? Wesley doesn't want to do that. No, the director don't want to do that. So moving on now. So you created Barbhouse Productions. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I created
The
Barbhouse.
inception of it.
It's you know, I was telling you earlier, like when I first started acting, I quit the first day, right? I literally quit.
Yeah.
And I have thought about quitting being in the film business many times. And I've
As
had
we all
some,
have.
yeah, exactly.
If you haven't, then
Something's wrong with you.
you haven't felt pain.
Exactly. And there's a few times in my life where, like, you know, I just wanted to make a film and all, you know, I'm starting to learn something with Barbhouse is if to be successful, like you do have to think about yourself too, like you're the profits and making sure that you're comfortable. And I mean, I went into a lot of films just being like, I'll do whatever I can
Yeah.
to make sure that I'll make this film. And meaning I dropped my personal life, my professional life, it was outside there, and also my financial life, just to be like, all right, we're 30,000 in the hole. Let's just pop it in there. And, you know, I'll figure it out when we get out of here. And
But you realize now that, like, you need that team around. It's a team effort. It can't just be you propping it up, you know?
Exactly. Holding, and that's what I've done. I felt like I've held a lot of productions together solely, and I'm not taking away from anybody. Like, it's always been amazing people on it. But, you know, when it comes to, you know,
getting the hard work done, they, you know, just like,
it all
you know,
falls on
they're like,
you.
I'm not gonna, yeah, they're not gonna show up at the pitch meeting, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, okay, you know, now I got to go into,
Yeah.
you know, so you got to be. I think what you're trying to say is you really need to find with Barbhouse. It's about finding those people that, you know, work with you,
Yeah.
and you can depend on, and you can, you know, you can do your job and they can do their job, as
Absolutely.
opposed to, you know,
I have to do
I'm
everything.
going to do this. I'm going to save it.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one pulling it above water.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing it for the actors. I'm doing it for all this, but, you know, like the other people are just like, well, you know, we'll do it later.
Yeah. Or it's,
You know?
you know, it's just a job, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah. They just treat it like, okay,
which
you
is fine.
know,
I understand. Some people they don't care about the project and they're getting hired
yeah.
on it. And I totally understand that. Like, it's making a living, right? So,
But it's hard to be creative with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just like, you know, it's, if you're going to come in here with the 9 to 5 mentality, we may have to stay a little bit after 5. So,
yeah, exactly.
you know, some nights we're going to be here till probably 11 o'clock. We don't know. Every day is different because it's, as you said, it's an organism. It's living, breathing, you know, you gotta get in there. You're bringing it out.
Yeah. So yeah, so with Barbhouse, you know, I left the city, I would say 5-6 years ago for 3 months. And I actually moved back home. I haven't been back home in like 20 years before that. Moved back home for 3 months because I lost everything, lost my money, and I lost everything I had, everything, my other business that I had. And I just, like, my relationship, and I lost everything. And then what happened was I was staying at my mom's for 3 months, and I was like, as you stay there, you know, I'm like, oh man, the city's a little hard, it's a little rough. And I've been there for 10, 12 years before that. I'm like, this is my home. And then one day, you know, I think it was me, my mom, and she's like, you need to just go back. And my mom's always worried about how are you going to make money? How are you going to do this or that? And she's like, you just got to get back. And I had no real plan. I had no income, nothing. And I had enough money. I borrowed enough money for 3 months. And I got so lucky. I said I wanted to move to a particular part in the city that I was the happiest. I went with my gut, and it was more expensive than any other part of the city, but I wanted to move there. My neighbor, just a stroke of luck, she got locked out of her apartment. She knocked on my door because she needs someone. She rang my doorbell for me to let her into the apartment, to her apartment, because because she went walking her dog. Stroke of luck, I never even answered the door because I was staying in an Airbnb, but I opened the door. We spoke. She told me she's a filmmaker and she's a writer and she wants to make her first feature film. I was like, cool.
So there you go. Getting back to a little bit of some of the other stuff. You had an intention. I don't know if I would say it's luck. I would say it's more that, it was coming.
Manifested.
You allowed it to come. I feel like sometimes when you say manifesting and things like that, people get mixed up and they think like it's just like, oh, everything's just flowers and everything. It's like no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There's going to be things, but the goal is there.
Yep.
And since you were open to it and you went to the city, things came. When you're open, it allows for things to change.
Yeah.
The biggest changes can happen as opposed to doing. And that's such a great.
I would have gave up, man. I really was. I was about a month or two in, and I was going to running out of money, and everybody like, why would you go there? Like, why would you go to but I was just happier there, and it just made me feel. And
right there, you were happy.
Yeah.
When you're happy, things will happen. If you're miserable, you're just going to manifest more miserable things. This is the thing people don't understand about the law of attraction. What you are is what you're going to be later.
Yep.
Since you were happy, it allowed for more things to happen.
Yeah.
That are happy. If you went and lived in some place that sucked, you're going to be in a bad place.
Yep.
Already. So you're already in some ways setting yourself up for failure. People aren't looking at it like that. So you made the right decision going there, even though it is a huge risk. But at least you're like I'd rather die happy than just, work the assembly line.
Yep.
Which is what we're doing, or doing the thing that most people take the safe choice.
Sure.
Well, there is no safe choice.
There's none.
What you did. And so I love that story. It just once again shows that like being happy is going to lead you to more happiness.
Absolutely.
If you're miserable, you're just going to lead yourself to more miserable stuff. And I always ask people this: to say, if you could choose between being miserable and happy, which would you choose? Most people are going to say happy. I don't know. There may be somebody out there that might go, well, I still want to be miserable. It's like, okay, I can't help you there.
Yeah.
then you're on the right path to misery.
Yep.
You are attracting a miserable life. That'd be an interesting book. It's like how to manifest the life you don't want.
Follow these steps.
Follow these steps. Don't do anything you want to do.
Exactly.
Have no happiness in there. Screw everyone over. So I think that's great. So finish your stories.
Yeah. So, I'm like, okay, whatever, you have a script. Everybody has a script. When they meet a producer, everybody has a script, or they're an actor and they want to be in your film that you don't have. I didn't have anything at the time. And she was actually a writer of books, and she actually was going to make it. And within 3 months, we were in pre-production for a film. And then during that time, I said, screw it. I'm starting a new production company. And I started a production company while I was actually filming. I just did the LLC while I was away and filming upstate New York. And the rest was history, man. After that, like things really started flowing for me. Then the pandemic hit, and I said to myself, a few things happened. Because when the pandemic hit, I said, not only are we gonna, I told this to my wife, we're not gonna only survive, we're gonna strive during this time. We're gonna excel. And I never made 2 films in 1 year till the pandemic. I made 2 films in 1 year because a lot of people, a lot of producers that I knew that I admired, and they're just a step above me, and they're doing bigger films, and I want to do what they're doing. So I'm like, not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to see what they're doing. And they stopped during the pandemic. They were scared. And I said, you know what? This is my time. Like, I have nothing to lose. And I made 2 films during that time. And those films were a little bit bigger than the ones I did before. And, these actors were doing because they wanted to work. and they took this small film, a couple of these small films, and yeah, and then next thing you know, it just progressed, and I got to another bigger films, and yeah.
Yeah. Now you have a great team under you. You have Lee Forsyth. He's
Yeah.
your COO. How did that? Talk about that.
Yeah. So Lee, um, I met Lee at a bar, and yeah, yeah, we weren't trying to pick each other up or anything like that. Lee and I, so my wife, had this is pre-pandemic. Yeah, pre-pandemic. My wife had a boss, and she left her company after so many years and started this get into a startup. And I think that when I said that not only we're going to survive this, we're going to strive and grow during this time, she lost her job. She's had security for like 10, 12 years, and then she went to startup and lost it because they lost funding. And she had even a bigger job afterwards during this time, within 2 months after. But this her boss, which we really love, I love him. His name is Bob, knew Lee. And he was in town, and Bob was in town. He used to be in Boston, come to New York once a month. And we met out for drinks, and Lee came. And it was just a random thing. And by accident, Lee sat next to me and my wife. And Lee and I, and even my wife, we spoke for hours. He has a very interesting, he's from the UK, and he has he has a very eclectic, interesting life that you would never think from this, British guy that dresses well and is, in the business finance sector. And he has all these experiences, in Nepal and in, ancient mysticism and things in spirituality that would blow your mind. And it was my time of being like really piqued by that stuff. However, also scared because of my Catholic upbringing. I don't want to get possessed. But he explained, and I was like, man, I love this guy. I got to meet this. We got to talk more. And it kept going. We became like almost instantaneously like best friends. And then about 6-7 months ago, he says he wants to leave his job. And he's like, I'm like, hey man, do you think you want to join this company? We could really use someone like you. And he did.
Yeah.
He did. And it's been great ever since. And it is so nice having a partner that
Business mind.
Yeah.
That's what I saw when I looked at your thing. I was like, okay, that's great. He has somebody like that on there. That makes a difference. You can't just have a bunch of aspiring,
creatives,
thinking creatives. You have to have that business mind there too.
Absolutely. I mean, we're also right now we're in the process of hiring another person to part of the development, and another person, and another intern, and we said, hey, we love the creative field and everything, but that's all we get, right? We need some more analytical people in this company.
Yeah.
You're also creative,
bookkeeping,
all that. You're still creative and you could do what you want, but you have some special skills that could really help people like me, that comes from a creative that has to beat myself into making budgets and counting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't enjoy it, one of the things I got to do with this is like, I hate the editing process of this. And it's like, I'm realizing I got to and I came across this random email and it said, you shouldn't be editing your podcast. And it's like, right there's the sign. I got to go. I got to find somebody to outsource.
You should.
It's like,
absolutely. You'll be more productive.
Yeah, no, it is, because it's so boring to sit here, re-listen to your voice over and over again. Like, I love doing this part of it, but it's like so I know exactly what you mean. It's like, sometimes people are just like, you're like, I don't want to spend the money. It's like, but that may be the thing that makes it so you can do more, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And you don't like to do you can do the financial aspect game of it.
Yep.
But there's somebody out there that knows how to do it and likes doing it and enjoys doing that aspect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the person that you want there to do that job, so that you don't have to, do what you're really good at
Yep.
and have this guy do that.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Because yeah, as creators, you'll be like, no, I gotta do all of it. And it's like, no, you gotta delegate things and let things just, as we said, breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's such a great choice. And I'm sure he's gonna bring in, yeah, he'll probably
He already
bring
has.
in he'll bring in some of his people, you know? So it's that's smart. I mean, you look at Steve Jobs, they brought in, what's his name there? I mean, it didn't end up well, but that was a smart move, bringing in somebody from Pepsi, because it makes you more financially, attainable, as opposed to just, a bunch of creatives. Oh yeah, we want to make movies. We love movies.
Exactly.
Do you know anything about, let me get back to you.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I noticed is you produced a Deadpool featurette.
Yeah. So I was working with Rolling Stone magazine, and they had a department for a little bit that they did a lot of digital content. And one of my friends, Patrick Smith, that now works for Diga, one of the most, he is so creative. I mean, he is probably one of the best people that I've ever met. I don't want to call it pitchers, but he could pitch any project and he could make you visualize it. And it's funny, he gets into like, when I was talking about like people's body positions, he's like smiley, this and that. And all of a sudden when he pitches, he just like goes like this, like in a trance, and then just goes, and he's excited. And he makes you excited. And like anything that comes out of him, like, it just, I'm like, man, I want to work on that too. He could say like, he could just make it up, like in what's that? Is it that movie where Steve Carell is like just saying chair, book, desk.
Oh yeah. The Bruce Almighty, where he's sitting there.
No, you know what it was? It was Anchorman.
Oh, Anchorman. Yeah. He's like, I like lamp.
I like lamp.
I like lamp. I like.
Patrick could just be like, I like lamp, and just tell the story by looking at things in the room. And I'm like, I want to make that movie too. He's so good at that.
Yeah.
So, but he hired me for Rolling Stone, and I did a few spots for them, and I produced their content. And one of them was a Deadpool, which I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And we did it with the stunt director, stunt coordinator for Deadpool, Flip Severa, and like, he was so cool. And we just talked about like how he made that film, and we had the BTS of that, and all the stuff that he had to go through, because it's such a stunt heavy film that he creates. And he did a lot of the stuff for Daredevil too. The
good Daredevil.
The show.
The good Daredevil.
Yeah. The show.
Yeah, but I was listening to him when he was talking about Deadpool, and he talked about how, they would, he doesn't feel pain, but here he's got to get to here, and the logic of how he built the scenes. And I thought that was fascinating to learn about that.
You get so many creative pieces that, like, so many people with creative pieces in their specific jobs that touch movies and films and TV shows in such a way, and every nuance changes that thing and makes it much more, I'm going to be cheesy.
That's why
holistic.
It's a team.
Yeah.
It's a team. It's a team, and you need to have the right people on the team. Because, you've got that guy, and that's probably why those fight scenes do stand out.
Yeah.
Because he's choreographed them with the mind of how the character is in there.
Yeah.
It's not like, a Steven Seagal film where I read this where he told the director, he said, my character wouldn't be hurt in this scene. And I think it was Peter Berg. Yeah, Peter Berg.
Oh, really?
And he's telling the story in the rundown commentary with The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock was in the room while he's telling him this story. And he's just like, yeah, I've worked with actors who, like, he said Steven Seagal, he's like, he's like, I wouldn't be hurt in this scene. And he was like, it's really hard for us to show any kind of drama if you're not going to be hurt. And it's like, if he's got it done, we finished.
Yeah.
It's all over. he saved them all, it's like, it's, whereas like, you take like the Dark Knight and it's like, how is he going to get through this? He's got the cops against him. He's got this, he's got that.
Yep.
When you have all those elements, it makes for something intriguing. So I love that featurette. Another thing I saw that you did, you worked with Impact Wrestling.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I'm a big wrestling fan, so I
Yeah, I saw
know.
that.
So I know. So I saw that. I mean, unfortunately, Impact Wrestling is one of those companies that like they had so many times where they could have like
Yeah.
went for it, and they
Yeah.
just kept. It was like one step forward, two steps back,
Yeah.
until they're kind of where they are now. And at the time, I think you were working with him, Billy Corgan. He's pretty high up. He wanted to buy the company at the time, but he started his own company now. But yeah, how was that? What was that like working with? Did you work with Billy Corgan?
Yeah.
Or
that was
William Corgan? Now I think is what he calls himself now.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know.
He changed his name now. Now he's
okay.
the owner of NWA. He's William Patrick Corgan, I think it is.
I guess you have to change your name when you get older and more distinguished.
Yeah, like it could be any
Smashing
more
Pumpkins.
pretentious. But yeah, talk about working with them.
It was, man, that was such a great experience as well. That was with Rolling Stone at the time as well. And I remember like one thing about with wrestling, they have a thing where they want to make sure that you're not going in there to expose them. Right. So their public relations is really tough. Very tough.
Even Impact Wrestling.
Oh my gosh. The guy, he was a tough guy. And
what was his name? Because I might know him.
I don't remember now. Maybe Eric something?
Eric Bischoff?
No, I don't think so.
That.
But he was this guy. So one of the guys at Rolling Stone wanted to make this film. I'm sorry, this little feature of Impact Wrestling. And they called me in to help them produce it, or for me to produce it. And I remember the guy was giving us, he's like, you can only bring 3 or 4 crew members. And I was like, we need like 8 to film this. And during that time, so for Impact Wrestling, it was another Rolling Stone job that Patrick hired me on. And one of the directors wanted to do a piece on Impact Wrestling. And at that time, I wasn't really interested in wrestling anymore because I used to be into the WWF when I was a kid. And after a while, when I found out it was fake, it really bothered me. Because I thought it was real for so long.
I found out it was like fake, like a month into watching wrestling. So it was like already, it's like ruined for me at a baseball game. So I was going that. I was just like, okay, do I continue watching this? But that's funny.
Yeah. So I went and they hired me for the spot, and he said to me, like, if like you're Rolling Stone now. It's different from me being Barbhouse. You're Rolling Stone. I have this big company behind me. So do you want to be interviewed? Do you want Billy being interviewed or Impact Wrestling being interviewed? We won't come if you can make it difficult for us. And I never had that empowerment before. I'm like screw you, like we won't. But
you kind of have to, because I mean it's like your Impact. You're not WWE where like it's where they couldn't make those demands, although you would already have those demands made like before. They would have somebody supervising. They have their whole team there, so it's like
So this guy made it really difficult for me, and like he kept saying, no, you can only have this. You can only have this many crew members. I don't want this. And where are you guys going to go? And you need clearance. And like he just and he kept doing it to the end. And like literally
making it harder. It's like, dude, this would have been so much easier.
And within 2 days, we thought that maybe we were not going to do this. And then I said, sure. Yes, no, but we need this. And then one day, and then we just showed up, and I showed up with the 2 extra crew people because I'm like, we need this. And he was like pissed off. He was like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, listen, man, we're not trying to expose this. He's a wrestling fan. And like, we're just trying to get, like, we want to talk about Billy Corgan in this. We want to talk about, the Impact Wrestling, and we want to like just
Trying to make your company look good.
Yeah, and his Rolling Stone, and he starts loosening up a little bit, and he was just worried about where we were going. And then after like I would say a couple hours, we put in the GoPros up. I had the team split up. We started doing interviews with Billy Corgan and everything else like that. The person that ran that, she was amazing. She was awesome. I forgot her name now at the time because, again, I wasn't into it. But
Dixie Carter?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yeah. She was phenomenal.
I'm surprised she would let like an Eric or this guy,
Well, he was trying to be protective of not showing that there's something, like we're not trying to uncover that it's fake. And within a couple hours, this guy was like, you could go anywhere you want. So we were going on in near the ring while they're doing their stuff. We got to interview like anybody we picked out. We got to, can we interview that? And he's like, yeah. He got so cool with us that like he was like, do whatever you want. He loosened up. And I mean, the director came up to me and was like, man, thank you so much. Because this is like my dream to do this thing. Yeah. And like, we thought it was going to be done. Then they put us in like the skybox and like got us all these food. And the guy came and had a couple of drinks with us. And it was just amazing. And it just shows that like, if you just like work with people and just like, hey man, we're not trying to do anything wrong here. Like, see how, like I had to just go there and show them who we were. And I'm telling you, that was one of the most, like, I'm not interested in wrestling. That was one of the best times I've had on set, man. The moves that they were doing. And I was like, oh my God, I don't remember ever being in a wrestling match like that. And
the style changed a lot since whenever you were watching.
Yeah.
Where they would just plot along and it was like, it's boring.
It was one of my favorite experiences in my life. And it shows you the challenges that you overcome or something that you don't overcome really, like retirement, right? Like I just want to chill and do nothing. Now we need a little bit of challenge in life and just to,
and I think that was great that like you were able to like kind of just like look, we can leave, but let's like let them know. I mean, you got to kind of
we're trying to help you out here.
So we can do the job and being straight, as opposed to what some people would do, just be like, you tell him that we don't want to do that, and then they'd send the next person, and then they'd send, and you would never get in the room together, but you just went straight to the source and be like, look, we want to do this. If you don't want us to do this, we can leave. As opposed to, sitting in some intern that would be like, okay, he doesn't want to do this. And then, you'll like, nothing will get. So I think that was smart on you because then he, it's kind of like he stood up to the bully a little bit and, he just was like, okay, all right. These guys are cool. Yeah. And the fact you brought a wrestling fan there to do it,
absolutely. It just shows you like perspective, right? And leverage. I mean, at first I was scared because I'm like I'm gonna like lose this because of this guy, and I was like pretty much bending over for him. I'm like, oh no. And then as soon as Patrick called me, he's like, man, if we lose this, it's fine. We're Rolling Stone. We don't need them. We have other things.
Exactly.
Look at you. And once he said that, hey Eric, I'm coming. We're doing this. This is for Rolling Stone. Do you want to do this or not? And then I showed up with my 2 extra guys, and there was a problem. Hey man, don't worry about it. And it really.
And back at that time when they were Impact, no one watched Impact Wrestling. I think they had been, they were no longer on Spike TV. They got thrown off of that. I think they were taken off of Destination America, and then they were put on like what was formerly the TV Guide channel at that time. So it's like, you need this more than anybody. I mean, stupid stuff like that. It's like, if you're gonna treat Rolling Stone like that, no wonder you're this. I know Billy Corgan said he had a hard time pitching, trying to get them a new show because it's just the stigma of that company.
Right.
Anyways, so that's the little bit of the wrestling here. Let's talk a little bit. Just One More Kiss. I watched a little bit of that. That was a cute little thing. How did that? Just talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, that was the one that the author and director of that was the one that knocked on my door.
Really?
Yep. And I remember, I like every film. I love films. I'm sorry. I like every genre of film, not every film.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
There's actually very little films that I like nowadays. But the genre, I like every genre of film. But I never thought I was gonna do a romance film, produce one, and I read the script and I really loved it. I really loved the script. I loved everything about it, and she's the one who knocked on the door because she locked herself out, and she gave me the script. Like maybe a week or two later, I remember reading it at a coffee shop, and I was crying, like I was like tearing up, and I'm like, oh man, I'm by myself. Like people were like, what's wrong with this guy? And I called her up. I'm like, I would love to do this, and I probably was, to be honest, I was gonna probably do it no matter what, because I was like, what? I needed a film. I needed a film to make.
I need something.
I needed something, but I was so happy that I was like really emotional about it, and like, you start as a team, just us two at first, and then it grows, right? And we get the actors, and then like, let me get a production coordinator and production manager and stuff. And that was like, we shot that in New Paltz, and that was like kind of like my first film festival that, as a feature that I won.
Yeah.
Big Apple Film Festival, which is not the biggest, but it's like getting up there. And then
getting into any of those festivals is good, and then winning, that's great.
Yeah, and that was the first Barbhouse. That was the first Barbhouse. On the end credits, or in the beginning credits too. So
A Wounded Fawn, that came out at Tribeca this year.
Yeah,
and that's gotten some pretty good reviews. I saw.
Yeah, it's gotten excellent reviews. Yeah, it's gotten really great reviews. Really happy about that film. It was a very tough film to make. It was a tough film to make, and yeah, that like it was. I had the script from the person, Nathan Foddery, that I always work with him on as many films as I can with it. He's a writer of mine. And I had this script called The Furies, and it was about the Greek mythology, and it's about the Furies, the women of vengeance. And I really enjoyed that it was a female empowered film about females striking back, and it's pretty much the hunter becomes the hunted. It starts off as like this, suave guy, played by, Josh Rubin, which oh my gosh, he did such a great job in that film. He's a suave guy that's like a serial killer, and you're just like, oh man, this is what this type of film is going to be. And then all of a sudden tides turn, and the main actress played Meredith was Sarah Lynn, and she does a phenomenal job as you see her character really switch,
so you switch roles
halfway through the film, being a certain type of character, and like more of a female in distress, and with kind of having some sore spots, into a very powerful woman. Or I don't want to spoil it, but yeah.
Please don't spoil it. When do you think people can see this film?
December. So December comes out to Shudder. It will be screening at Fright Fest in the UK at the end of August. We have a couple more film festivals that we're a part of that we'll announce shortly, but it's really hitting the festival circuit, and it's very
it's going to be on Shudder, the streaming service.
It'll be on Shudder, yeah. But there'll be some more film festivals coming up, and we'll release that soon.
All right, that's great. That's great. Now you are getting ready. I don't know if you're going to be on set here for this, but you're getting ready to film The Fetus
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh, wow. We're in pre-production right now. I'm going to Pennsylvania tomorrow for pre-production. Yeah, we start filming next week. Next Monday we start.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and you guys also have, like, I believe, a chef that's going to be on there, so you don't have to.
Oh yeah,
you guys have taken care of everything.
Are
you excited? Are you excited about this?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to go. I can't wait. I can't wait to.
'Cause I told him when I read the script, it reminded me of The Brood meets Evil Dead
Yeah,
with that tone and everything. It's
you know, I don't know if Joe, told you, but like, I I invest in people, really,
yeah,
and I invested in Joe. The script when I first, the script when I met Joe, Joe came to me with this big film called Fugitive Zero that he wanted,
yeah,
feature film that he wanted to make, and I was like,
yeah,
well, we have to make a smaller film together, and let's talk about it. And I'm like, I'm doing horror, that's right now, that's what I'm doing. Maybe you should look into, maybe that's a genre if you like that. Maybe, I don't know if we should do a small action film. He's like, no,
yeah.
I'll do horror. And he goes, I'll write something. He wrote something. He's a man of his word. He said he's going to write something. A month later, he had a feature script, The Fetus.
Yeah.
Then he had the deck. I was like, the deck looked amazing. I could understand it. The script wasn't where we wanted it. He made many, many revisions. But I'm like, I'm gonna work with this guy. Like,
Yeah.
until we get the right script, I'm on this fully with you, and let's figure this out. And this is for not only The Fetus, but going on.
Yeah.
And then it's maybe a 15th, 20th revision, and it is. I'm so happy how it came out. And
What do you think was don't spoil the plot, but what do you think was missing in that you were trying to find in the revisions? Was it just trying to get it more concise?
that's one aspect. We were trying to get it more concise. The other aspect was the general story was there, and it was an awesome story, and everybody was sold by just the general story. That's really cool. And also the graphics and everything that we were showing, and people were just like, yes, I love this. I mean, people were like, yes, I want to be a part of it without even reading the script. But what first was, yes, we had to condense it, but also we had to really work on the characters, or Joe had to work on the characters to really, I think the dynamic between the characters, we had to really change that. And then on top of it, then we had to, at some point we had to change, it's a budgetary thing. We have to change things to make it look good creatively, but we have to be creatively thinking about the budget as well to probably condense it a little bit more.
Keep it one location as much.
Right. Yeah, as much as you
cut
can.
Costs down.
Yeah.
Which is what. Okay. Cool. Yeah, but I'm excited. So how did you meet Joe?
So
Joe Lamb.
Yeah. During the pandemic. I mean, it's funny because I met a lot of people that I'm working with now during the pandemic, because I was doing film festivals online and like meetups. So I think it might have been the Cannes meetup, or it could have been South by Southwest, but he just introduced himself to me. Just like the guy I'm working with now, Brad, from Cryptid. Like, they just reached out to me, and I was like, all right, let's talk. And next thing you know, we've developed a friendship. And yeah, I mean, they reached out to me, and the rest was history. Here I am. I'm making The Fetus, and that with Brad Rigo, that he just did Cryptid, and it's distributed by Screen Media. We have another film that we're ready to pitch, maybe end of this year. We're ready to film, or early next year. Yeah.
Are you going to try and do Fugitive Zero as well?
Fugitive Zero. Yep. But first, we're gonna have to get to the Fetus first.
First, you got to do the Fetus. Yeah. This Fugitive Zero, it's going to be a lot more locations and
action, bigger budget.
It's a bigger budget, but what he shot with that is
incredible.
It feels like a larger film than it actually is.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was quite impressed when I was doing my research on Joe. I was like, oh wow, that's really good. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so wrapping up here a little bit. One thing I found from doing my research, you were in personal training.
I was.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, when I came to New York, I had it was, so I say I was here 15 years ago, but really like, it was really 20 because I would move to like, I'd move for like 6 months to a year to New York and then move back to Connecticut. So for 5 years, I kept doing that because I tried to get my rhythm. And I got into acting. I got my SAG card and I got in like, I was like, all right, I want to be an actor. But I wasn't making any money. So same thing with the luck of the draw. I mean, I got hired. So I got hired I interviewed 3 places, right? One's a top tier training facility. The other one was pretty much a lower tier one. And I don't want to name the names because I don't know if that's bad if I name them.
Yeah.
And then the other one was like a like personal trainer, and it was all the way up in Columbia University. And it was like, you get insurance. The pay was okay. And, but it would be like a 9 to 5. And
that's not going to help you with acting.
exactly. So, and it wasn't that much money. And I just took the one that was, I got lucky because the lower tier training facility didn't call me back. The higher training facility called me back, and they both offered me jobs. Now with personal training, like you don't have anything. You're not making any money until you get clients. It takes months to get clients. So, they're like, hey, you better have some money saved up. I'm like, no, I don't, because you're not going to make any money for at least 3 months. And that's some people. And then 80 to 90% of people leave because they just can't make enough money to be trainers. Yeah. And I didn't lie on my resume, but like I embellished it a little bit that like, and not lie. I embellished it as in like, I was in the military and I did, but that was a long time ago. That was like 10 years before. I used to train people. I used to train people because I maxed out on my PT test, and you get like a little stamp here. And I went to be a 2-week training class where I could be a trainer, where I used to run group sessions. And I did that for 6 months to maybe a year, once a month, because I was National Guard. And that was something that was, so I'm like, I was a personal trainer for the military, and that's true, but it was 10 years before. And then I went into mixed martial arts, and it was a facility that after a year or two, I started helping out the teachers. Like the teacher would have a teacher, another assistant, and then I started helping out the teachers. And I used to train people that were new, because a lot of people would come in, and I'd bring them downstairs and teach them how to fight, like just the basics. I was really good at it.
What'd you do? Like BJJ?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I did American kickboxing first, and I did Samba afterwards, which is like I did BJJ like for 6 months, but I did most American kickboxing and Samba. And American kickboxing, I trained that more. So I put that, I was working for them, and I was working for the National Guard, which the National Guard was real. I wasn't working because I wasn't getting paid. I just did it because I enjoyed doing it. But so I became the kickboxing guy in the gym. And it's so funny because it was when was it 2009 where everything crashed? 2009?
2008's the crash.
2008. It was during 2008. So like there's no one buying anything. And it was bad. It was a hard time for people. And who's going to buy a personal trainer when you don't have any money, or your money is decreasing because of things? But I stuck it out, and it took me 5 months to hit my stride. But the way I hit my stride was I became, in a way, you have to get pigeonholed into something.
Yeah.
You have to stand apart from someone else. I became the guy that taught people kickboxing. So I was a personal trainer, but my specialty was kickboxing, and people like to come to me because of kickboxing, because they would want to do, these corporate people would want to just punch punch stuff.
They need it.
Yeah, exactly. And that became my thing, where I was this tough kickboxing trainer. I'm not really that person, meaning I'm not tough like with people.
But it gave you the perception, you know, it gave you the niche. You
Yeah.
needed a niche.
And my business there grew. I left and I started on my own, and I was making really good money. I wrote one article for Men's Fitness, and
Yeah, I
I got
saw that.
yeah, and I got into a couple magazines I spoke about, and it just it really made me. And that's when I was acting more because of that. I started Go Source Zero, my production company.
Yeah.
Fitness allowed me that, and always
Now,
one. Yeah.
was this the gym that was at Union Square? Is that gym still there?
Yeah, the gym's still there. Hype Gym.
Where is it? I mean, I used to go to the sports club that's right
it's
over there.
it was within the last so I actually helped open that gym, because it was a friend of mine. So I used to train people at a gym on the east side, 27th and 2nd, and that's where I'd bring my clients there, and it was like I paid for their hour, right? Like
Yeah.
$30, and I became friends with the owner. And then he wanted to get another gym, and he made it in Union Square. And actually, that was the time where I came back to New York, and he was doing that. And I was like, let me help you with the social media. Let me do this for you. And and the rest is history. I don't go there as often as I used to, because I don't train much. I don't train anybody anymore. And I do it.
Where is it is it like, there's the Whole Foods, there's that movie theater,
It's
Strasbourg, there's the GNC. I'm trying to see the layout of where
so
it is.
it's
Barnes
remember there
and
was like
Noble.
remember there was a Thai place there that closed out, or the coffee shop.
Yeah. Oh, the coffee shop.
The coffee.
Yeah,
It's a
that
block away
closed right up
Yes.
right over there. Okay, I
It's
know
a
where it
block
is.
on the same side of the street.
Okay, I know where
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. It's like a second floor. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
you wouldn't know
Yeah.
until it'll say Hype Gym on the
Yeah.
top.
There's that coffee shop that like every aspiring actor is at.
Yeah, exactly.
And they had some pretty good stuff there. I mean, it's a little overpriced at times,
Yes,
but
of course.
it was anything
It's a
in Union
staple.
Square is.
Yeah.
So that's cool. All right, wrapping up here. Let's get into some of these. What are you watching now? What films are you watching?
I just
What have you watched
finished
recently?
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
And also a film. I just watched Top Gun 2 weeks ago.
What'd you think of that? That was so good, wasn't it?
It was so good.
Wasn't
And
that
I
so
wanted to be
good?
like, I don't want to like it, but
Oh, it's so good.
it was so
It
good.
was like that. That's the movie of this summer.
Yep.
Nothing has come close to that.
Yep.
Not Jurassic
Absolutely.
World.
Yep.
Not Thor, Love and nothing has come close to what they did with that. And I was just like, say what you will about Tom Cruise, but man, he knew how to protect this and make it. Now I'm kind of scared because I'm like, well, we might make another one. It's like, no, leave it alone.
Exactly.
Leave it alone.
That's it.
You nailed the landing. Don't do any more. Don't ruin it anymore.
Absolutely.
Do you have a beginning of the day routine?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. I wake up, meditate. I meditate for 15 minutes. Yeah. I then go and do morning notes. And morning notes, if you ever read The Artist's Way.
That's what I was that was my next question, is this like The Artist's Way?
It comes for me, that's where I took it from, but morning notes are, other people, I think she brought it in from other areas, or someone else told her about it. But, so I do morning notes and a gratitude right after that.
Yeah.
And you want to hear something? I had a really tough, this last film was really tough this year. And usually I have a notebook, and that notebook usually gets filled up in 3 months, 6 months, if I do my morning pages regularly. This one, I didn't do the morning notes for so my first page is July. My last page is this July. So it took me a year. So I wasn't doing my morning notes like I used to. So, and I could feel it. I could see the, difference in me. Morning notes, just pop it up all on there. And then the gratitude is the most important part. Like at the end, it's like, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. It brings so much more to my life, not only like the happiness and the gratitude and all that stuff, you see it, but I feel it brings even more towards me, you know?
It does. That's law of
Yeah.
attraction.
Yeah. And
you know, you can be thankful I have a computer, you have a computer, and we can sit here and talk
absolutely.
in two different places in the world
Exactly.
at the same time.
Yeah.
That's something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
You know?
And then, and I mean, that's pretty much my morning routine. And then I'll have my greens. I have athletic greens that I have in the morning. I've been doing that for a long time.
Do you like? All right, do you like that? I mean, I'm seeing that advertised all over the place. Is it good?
It's good. I mean, look, I don't really get sick. I don't want to. It's expensive. But like, look, I don't eat as many vegetables.
How expensive?
I think it's like almost like $100 a month, something like that. Something like that. Wow. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, maybe 60. I don't remember. Like, it's around that price, 60 to 100 a month. And then I got a travel packs, and that's pretty much it. And then I have an espresso or a coffee, and my day starts. And then I try to work out. I've been bad this year. Like this film has really changed my life in a way. Then I try to work out. I do a little bit of work for a couple hours because I'm the best in the morning. And then, I work out, like I try to work out like 10, 11, getting back into it.
Good.
It's, you know, I'm thinking about going back to training more people because on the weekends, because if I do that, like I have it's the same thing as writing partner. If I have to train you, I got to make sure that I work out and I look good or I feel good, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about like, hey, do you want to start training again? Because people still ask me, do you still do that? And I consult.
Yeah, you should do it.
I consult with people. Hey, and the biggest thing about consulting, going back to what we were talking about, it's all about habits and routines. I don't care, like, you don't need to know all the equipment. You don't need to know anything. Like, I don't care about anything. I don't care how hard you do things. Let me look at your routines. I could tell you in your habits. I could tell you a lot about you. And let's fix things for your personal behavior. Like, you're not going to have this strict, crazy diet because your life doesn't promote that. What can we do to help you out here? And how many days a week do you want to do? If you're doing 3, we do this. If you're doing 1, okay, we do this.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like there's a box that you have to fit in.
You can just walk. Just walk for 30 minutes. And, you know, get a watch, you know, here, and it'll tell you how many steps you do. I try to go for like 8,000 steps, but that's in total of the whole day.
Yeah.
You know,
I try to do 10.
I was doing 10,000 steps, but it's like, after a while, then I was like looking at the thing. I was like, all right, do I need to really do this much right now? Because right now I was cutting, and now I've like kind of stopped, and I'm like at maintenance. That's
nice.
Like I got myself down to like where I was only eating like 1,800 calories. I'm like,
oh wow,
all right, I can't do this. This is insane. I feel like I've eaten nothing. It's like one meal.
Well, you look good, by the way.
It.
You look good.
Well,
I saw your pictures of you. You look great.
Thank you. I try really hard.
I'm going to come to you for consulting.
It's a lot of it. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. We can be the team.
Absolutely.
I'll be like, look, I don't have any experience. I just have a nice body, but I can, I can confer with him.
Your experience is in your body.
Exactly. Do you have a nighttime routine?
I don't. I keep saying I do. You know, when I'm doing well, I'm reading a book at night. During the pandemic, I would do Duolingo.
Duolingo.
Oh,
you do Duolingo? What language were you? What language?
I was doing.
What were
French.
You doing?
I was doing French.
I'm doing German.
Oh wow!
My acting teacher, he told me, he said, "Look, Justin, we got to open up the back of your mouth." And he said, German is, yeah, nein, bitte. It's all in the back. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do Duolingo. And I've let's see, how many days is that? 792.
Oh, congrats, man.
Straight of Duolingo,
Before we go, I gotta tell you, like, so my wife, right? She knows Thai, she knows French, and she knows English, obviously. And
she knows English.
Yeah, she knows English. I don't know English. Like but I speak Italian as well. I can speak
Oh,
Italian.
really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good that you have that. Because I mean,
Right.
the more languages you have, the more it's just that'll help you in acting, and it'll just help you with speech in general. Because it's different speech patterns.
Absolutely.
The American English dialect is very, just kind of like,
Yep.
we're the laziest of them all.
Absolutely. So I was doing French at the time, and like I am, which I'm trying to get better at, because I'm an all or nothing person. Like I go 100%, but I'm trying to learn that that's not the way to do things. Like
balance,
consistency.
Balance is the way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, I'm only doing 5 minutes of Italian. And I was like, I'm going to do 20 minutes of French. Right. And I'm like, I'm doing it for like 2 weeks. Right.
Yeah.
And then I just like gave up.
It's like the person, I'm sure you've seen this in the personal training business, is the person that's like, oh, I'm going to work out really hard. They go for a week, 2 days, and then they burn themselves out. And they're like, it's like, what happened?
I'm good.
We made it 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yep.
It's like my wrestling podcast. I started with a friend, and he's like, oh, I want to do it. And it's like, he lasts a month. And I'm like, dude, you thought in a month we were going to have subscribers out the door? I'm like, come on, man, that's not the way it works. It's just, this is a
consistent,
slow and steady game. You gotta.
Yep.
I can't get into how many co-hosts I've lost.
I am sure you have.
Recipes. It's just like they don't want to put in the work or show up, and it's like, I'm doing all the editing.
Yep.
All you have to do is sit there across the screen and talk professional wrestling, and I'm bleeding it.
Yep.
What could be easier?
Absolutely.
so, but it's all right. I interrupted you about what were you say?
No, and my wife was right. Like, she went on for 100 something days, and she speaks decent Italian. And I don't speak French. I don't remember any French.
I mean, I can like read the words and stuff, but I'm like, I don't know if I can. I mean, my teacher is now making me like, speak and be like, yeah, wie geht's, mehr geht's, we already answered this, but so you meditate. What is your practice in meditating?
I do Headspace. I've been doing Headspace for
Headspace.
Yeah, cool. I've been doing it for 14 years.
Wow.
Yep. Maybe a little less. When it first came out, like I was the first one.
I do. Have you ever heard of Mind Valley?
Yes.
He has a 6-phase meditation. I try to do that like every day when I wake up. I'll send it.
Please. I love his book.
Well, now I'm gonna have to put the link in there. There's gonna be like, well, why
don't you have this thing?
Like how many times have I mentioned this song here? Just go to one of the other links. But I read his book. The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It's good.
Yeah.
And he's got a new book coming out.
I can't wait for that.
The 6-phase meditation, which is basically the meditation you can get for free.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
What am I reading? It's called The Next 5 Moves. I forgot the guy's name. It's a business book. And Patrick something, and it's about like business strategies and
William Patrick Corgan.
It might.
No, I'm joking.
No.
That's Billy. That's just Billy Corgan.
Yeah. I'm like, but it's something like that. It's like it's three names. So, But he, it's a really, it's a great book, and I'm into it. I'm into it. It's really interesting. I'm not reading it like I can't wait to read it, but I am reading it as like taking notes kind of book. Like
that's kind of like that's kind of like the book. I don't know if you've ever read the book Power versus Force, where it's written very analytical.
Right.
Like, so, we're doing, but it talks about, things going on in the world. You're like, yeah, you're right. That, one of the things I came to the conclusion of is like a lot of our problems we've kind of made.
Right.
No matter what it is, we kind of make our own problems. But anyways, how can people reach you?
You can reach me at, barbhouse.com. Just send a note out to hello@Barbhouse. And someone will get back to you and they'll give me your email. We that's the way to do it. Or you could go on my Instagram, Joe Barbagallo, Joe _ Barbagallo, at Instagram, and those are the few places that I'm. I try to be on as much as I can, but not too much too, just to try to respond.
Exactly.
You know, I do that 15-minute timer. Okay, I hit 15 minutes. I should be done for today.
That's a good idea. I should do that with Instagram.
Yeah.
I should do that with YouTube too. YouTube
yeah.
is another one where I just get that. Oh, what's this video?
I need to do that.
Oh,
I need to do
let me
that with a
see
lot
this.
of aspects of my life, like
Let me
maybe
watch.
the refrigerator, or like not to eat too much, and like the gym and stuff. So yeah.
All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. Thank you, Justin. I really
great.
appreciate it.
This
Yeah.
This is great. Okay, that does it. This is the end. I wanted to give you the full interview, so you have both choices. You can look at in parts, or you can see the full interview. You can find Joe at Joe_Barbagallo on Instagram, and check out barbhouse.com to see Barbhouse Productions website. And I would like to thank Joe for doing this interview. And as always, you can find me at Justin Yance, and I will see you next time on the DMF.